Hey, all, welcome to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And Una, we are back with another edition of Preview 2022.
Woo!
Yeah.
Preview 2022, Electric Boogaloo.
You know what? That makes it already sound more fun than it is, because Una, this one was rough. I had to take many breaks, many moments of self-care. You know, to give you an idea how rough this is, there's a game I've been playing on the computer machine called This War of Mine, where you're helping guide a group of people survive in war-torn Eastern Europe. And it's like you're not a warrior, you're not a battler or anything. You're just an average schlub living in a bombed out building trying to scrabble together stuff to live.
You are yourself, but Bruno, and just doing your best.
Yep. I mean, it's pretty much Ukraine Simulator. It's really sad.
Oh.
That has been more fun and more invigorating than the research I've been doing.
Why do we do this to ourselves,
Look,
Dusty?
I went into this because I mean, I don't know if the folks on the pod are going to know this. A little behind the door about Dusty. I'm originally from Ohio. I'm from the part of Ohio where you pronounce it AHIA. So yeah, Southern Ohio. It's I hide a lot of my natural accent just because I've kind of gotten used to doing that. But yeah, so I have a lot of love for my home state, and it's been really brutal watching it turn into like a fascist wonderland in the past 4 years. Especially when I know there are so many good people living there that are just now outnumbered by this weird mass that I kind of always suspected was there, but. You know, it's that country politeness where you're like, I think that guy might be in the Klan, but we're not going to talk about it. He's not going to bring it up. I'm not going to mention it. I'm just going to drink this 12 pack of Natty and move on. And yeah, and
it turns out he was in the Klan. And
yeah, it turns out when you ignore a seed, it does grow into a flower no matter how much you ignore it.
Oh, that's so beautiful and prescient of what's to come. Oh no.
Yeah. Well, and you and I also during our Ohio experiences had the luck to really live in these liberal bastions. For college, I was in Athens, Ohio, which is like the only liberal county in Southeast Ohio, and you were in Oberlin, which is the crunchiest of crunch.
It was this little tiny purple blob in 2004, and that was because of Lorain County and because Oberlin was located in not like the rest of Lorain County. They wanted fuck all to do with us, but
yeah. Oberlin is essentially a kombucha factory surrounded by Trump signs.
Oh God, yeah. It's undercooked lentils surrounded by you can hear a heartbeat at 6 weeks poster boards.
Yep. So I do have that kind of bias going into things. So researching how Ohio's doing in this upcoming election broke my damn heart in a lot of ways because, the governor's race is interesting. It seems like the current incumbent governor, Mike DeWine, who got a lot of national positive attention for how he dealt with the COVID pandemic. Thanks a lot to entrusting Amy Acton, who was the head of the COVID response in Ohio and was very well respected for a lot of the work they did. And then people just got impatient and now Mike DeWine is an enemy. And it looks like he might lose the primaries, but the odds of that happening are less and less each day. As of right now, his main competitors is a guy, Rob Blystone, I believe is his name. He is a farmer. He's kind of come out of nowhere as this dark horse candidate that I've talked to a lot of folks from home to try to figure out how Joe Blystone, trying to figure out how the hell this dude with, his entire life, he's run a farm. I think he does corn and soybeans and maybe as a cattle farmer as well. Don't quote me on that, but that's been his life, his whole life. And for him to kind of come out of nowhere, just storm up the polls is really unprecedented and very surprising. And asking folks why the hell that's happening, it seems to be just that entirely, is that he's not a politician. He has that, tough dude mentality and appearance and everything. And it's very, very Trumpy points of view that kind of flows in with that as well. So, he has a chance to win the primary, but Mike DeWine is long beloved in Ohio. And so I would not be surprised if DeWine could pull this out despite a very competitive primary. But it's the Senate race. Una, the fucking Senate race. I'm no exaggeration. There be monsters. This is a pirate map of Krakens and just bullshit. If there are any old school never Trumper Republicans in Ohio, you're fucked. You have no choices in this primary.
Oh no.
And each person is worse than the other. And I have no problem or fear of slander charges from saying that the majority of Republicans running for the primary in the Ohio Senate are genuinely fucking evil people. These are bad, awful individuals, but they're all fucking evil for completely different reasons. It's like a Whitman sampler. And I'm not even going to do a pun on that because Whitman samplers are garbage and they make you feel terrible when you eat them. It seems like a deal.
with each, I'm getting the sense that with each candidate, it is a sample, but you're still biting into like that weird cream.
Yeah, it's all green cream.
Wanted.
It's all it fucking is. It's like it's supposed to be mint, but it
different
doesn't taste
creams.
like mint.
Yeah, or like lemon, and it's like, this just tastes weird. And
yeah. And so, if you're feeling particularly depressed about the state of the country and where it's in right now, maybe skip this week, come back to it when you're feeling better. And granted, I might just be talking about it from my point of view. When I started working on this, it was a rough week. I love my state. I love my home. And it sucks to see it like this. But then, I crammed all of our flag means death. And all of a sudden I'm feeling much better about the world, or at least more improved.
So all it took was a little gay pirate.
Look, I don't want to spoil anything.
No spoilers, because I have not seen the last 3 episodes.
Okay. But yeah, the love of your common man, and it's a very kind show for a show about piracy and lots of gore at times. So that's kind of helped me get into the better mood to at least talk about this. But I will say, if at any point you're starting to feel down, definitely bow out. Save it for another day, or just waiting to see what happens in the primaries and move on from there.
Yeah, to the listeners, run for those of us who can't, i.e. Dusty's co-host.
Yep. This is a real Faustian bargain you made. Only without the good stuff Faust got.
I know, I'm not getting paid.
You aren't getting paid yet. So we're talking about the Ohio Senate race this week. So we're going to get this out of the way first. So on January 25th, 2021, Senator Rob Portman announced that he would not be seeking a third term as senator from Ohio. And as a politician, Rob's been kind of a real mixed bag of morality. In 2016, he rescinded his endorsement of Trump after the whole grab him by the pussy thing came out, which feels like ancient history at this point, but
so long ago.
It was a huge hullabaloo when it occurred. But by 2020, Rob would endorse Trump for re-election and be his co-chair for the Ohio campaign. But then he would accept the results of the election and refuse to overturn the results, and voted for the Senate to have their own January 6th commission, which was a real no-no in Trump world.
Mm-hmm.
He opposed all LGBTQ plus legislation until 2013, and then became the first sitting GOP senator to support same-sex marriage. And this occurred after his son informed him that he was gay.
Well.
Yeah, we're continuing the trend of like, it doesn't matter to me until it's personal, but good on you at least for changing.
I mean, sure, fine. The only ability to empathize is when it is of your own blood, but
it's selfish empathy really burns in a certain way, because it's like you could have learned this lesson on your own at any other time. It didn't take someone you know and care about to change how you feel. Kind of seems like, I don't know, a contradiction of Christian ideals, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I am just straight up numb to this experience, having experienced a lifetime of, in terms of women's rights, so many people being like, well, I have a daughter, I have a wife. I'm like, you are also a human being. Like, can we just, do you have to have a daughter?
Before these two women entered your life. I am assuming your wife is not the first woman you have cared about. So to go back to the bad, he's also anti-choice. He tried to pass a law that would have made it illegal for companies to boycott products from Israel or any of the occupied territories in Palestine, which I don't even know if that's fucking legal. And he was a staunch supporter of Brett Kavanaugh. But he's also one of the few Republicans who took a stand against family separation at the border during Trump's administration and vocally spoke against the Muslim immigration ban that occurred. He is a complicated, weird man.
Yeah.
But he's human. He's very clearly human. But with Trump, his favorability has waned. In 2002 and 2012, he was very integral to helping McCain and Romney prepare for their debates with Barack Obama, often acting as a stand-in for Barack, and I really hope he didn't do an accent. I hope it was just policy points and he was just really good at debating from the left.
Please don't get method.
And the thing is, like, in 2008 and 2020, Rob Portman was the up-and-coming dude. He was the guy who was like, yeah, give this guy a few more years, maybe president. We'll see where it goes. But by 2020, his ties to Trump's nemesis, John Kasich, and his outspoken opinion of the election being legit pushed him further and further from party favorability. So rather than get into a bitter primary, like so many other anti-Trump Republicans, he's retired this year.
Oh, no.
And what has followed can best be described as just a pack of goblins descending en masse onto a lone scrap of meat. Of the 7 Republican candidates that have qualified to fill the job, not a one of them is worth half a damn. So as is tradition, we're going to start with a dude who has no working campaign website, and has a Twitter that he kind of updates. Is a fellow by the name of Neil Patel. Now, Neil had run for state senate back in 2010 and 2014, but as a Democrat, and has switched parties specifically for this run. I don't know if he's doing it because now he's a Republican, or if he's doing it to try to get those sneaky votes to be like, haha, secret Democrats, I have won now. It's a plan that's never worked. But well, you know what? Go off, Neil. It's your money. We'll see what you can do.
It really
like
is,
I said,
yes.
His campaign website's down. He hasn't updated his Twitter since 2018. And even then, he only made 3 posts. And somehow, he's polling better than the next guy we're going to talk about. A dude by the name of Mark Paquita. Now, Mark is a man I will describe as a complete idiot with big ideas.
Oh, fun.
So Mark made his wealth by starting an IT staffing and recruitment company called FastSwitch. Supposedly, he only spent $1,000 to found the company and made a fuck ton afterwards. And I know you want to brag about, only $1,000 in my pocket and I made my way. I'm going to be kind of a dick here and just assume it does not take that much money to start a staffing company. You need a desk, you need a chair, you need a computer, and you need a phone, and you need contacts. I'm pretty sure you can get all of those for less than $1,000 back in the, I assume it was the 90s.
Right. So it's really like, how'd you get those contacts?
Exactly. Yeah. Not really impressed, Mark. You're going to have to do better. And by doing better, he started his own YouTube show called Truth Bomb.
No!
I did not watch it, mainly because his platform is extensive and unique and had me fall into deep research holes. So, all right. So here's what Mark Paquito wants to do. He wants to move the Department of Education back into the Department of Health and Human Services. The thing, though, is he refers to it as the Department of Health and Welfare, which is what the department used to be called, but hasn't been called since 1979.
Really? I mean, that's not like since 2010 or, since Obamacare started. Like, nope, that's a whole generation.
Yeah. He wants to have firearms training in all high schools. Like, as far as I know, all high schools don't even have driver's ed. They don't. And I won't go down the road of why it's a problem that driver's ed has been privatized. No, but it's also like, I just feel like, I don't know, firearms training, I mean, a terrible idea on its face. But then on top of it, it's like, I know there's some weirdly good intentioned idea behind this. Yeah.
That is so off the mark, pun intended.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Second Amendment, I'm a supporter. I know the gist behind it, but also, where are you going to fit that class? Is it going to be a semester class, sort of like driver's ed was when I was in high school, where it's, half the year or like a portion of the year, and then you go on to other sort of elective classes? Is it gym? Do gym teachers teach this? Who's teaching this class? How do you vet who teaches this class?
Dusty, I would bet gold-backed stand that one, absolutely, it's going to be part of phys ed.
Yep.
2, they're getting rid of language skills for this class. Spanish is out the window.
Hey, you have to cut something.
No hablo niente.
I mean, look, if Jim's teaching it, I wouldn't go that far. I would say it'd probably be more like that little weird racist square dancing bit that we all had to do in elementary school. It'd probably be like, for 4 weeks, we're doing gun training because we can't make this a full year thing. Like, I don't think we could even make it like a semester or a quarter thing. So yeah, it would have to fit in that regard. Also, are you going to bring enough training guns for the class, or does everyone have to share one?
Well, that really depends on how the school is funded. At the nicer schools, they all have their own gun.
I mean, I remember in high school, we all brought our own toilet paper and tissues to donate to the school because we ran out of funding. Are we going to have to bring our own guns?
In some schools, probably. In the rural communities, probably yes.
Yeah, it's like you're asking schools, unless like the person doing the firearms training is supplying everything, which I wouldn't recommend. I mean, get fucking paid. Don't be out of pocket on that shit.
Well, and also it's like, we're just talking about firearms. So what kind of firearms? Because I honestly genuinely thought it's like, oh, so these kids are going to be taught how to use a semi-automatic. So by the time they graduated at 18, suddenly you have an entire like class generation graduating with the knowledge and skill of knowing how to operate a mass shooter or a massive gun.
I think that's a really good point, because there are multiple types of guns and you have to start somewhere. Speaking from experience, you can't hand someone a shotgun and expect things to go well the first time. You got to start small. You got to start with like a pellet gun or something. Like, that would have to be the smartest thing, is everyone gets an airsoft gun and that's it.
No,
and I'm sure people would get pissed off because they're like, they have to learn them all. They have to learn handguns and rifles and shotguns and semi-automatic weaponry. And it's just like, I don't know where you're going to get the budget for this. It's either airsoft or nothing.
Yeah. So you have a completely militarized elementary school now. At this point.
Or you end up getting like the really wealthy schools and like everyone gets their own training Uzi.
Yes.
Like get the name brand guns and all of that. And everyone else has to deal with, third-hand Smith and Wessons that haven't fired since the Gilded Age.
Yeah, Glocks that you really have to clean out, but no one has the time.
Like those old AK-47s that quit firing after 2 bullets.
Oh. This is such
or Kalashnikovs, that's what it was. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I did not expect us to poke so many holes into this idea, but yeah, even taking it seriously, it's a logistical nightmare to make that work.
Yes.
Just overall, it's a host of issues. Oh God. So it's been a while since I've read these, and rereading them is just a joy. So Mark thinks that more children should be placed in orphanages, and this would be a way to kind of stem abortions instead of, putting kids into the adoption system that, when abortions become illegal, then you're going to have a fuck more kids who are going to be there, and it'll put a burden on the foster system. So we should encourage there to be more orphanages. So the folks at the Gladney Center for Adoption have noted that the concept of orphanages have been extinct since the 1970s because we switched to the foster care system.
Yes. And maybe ask yourself why we switched to the foster system. And also, again, just thinking like, hey, maybe the point isn't to make abortions legal or illegal. Maybe when you have unwanted children, that's the issue.
Yeah. I'm shooting off the hip here. Maybe instead of having required gun training in schools, maybe a thorough version of sex ed to ensure that children are not have out of wedlock because kids in puberty have all the knowledge.
All the access to condoms, an IUD if you want it.
It's really weird that communities with a high level of sex education do have lower rates of abortion.
Incredibly lower. Yeah. Yes.
Well, and this also, I think, proves to me that Mark hasn't paid attention to politics since the 1970s.
Truly, though. So, his awareness of how government work ended in 1976.
He wants to remove woke capitalism all around, generals in favor of men like Ulysses S. Grant, which I would like to know, we talked about before, as being one of the most sensitive men to ever lead the fucking army. Yeah. This is a man who cries when animals are shot. Yeah. Ulysses S. Grant was a kind, empathetic soul, you dumbass.
Right. It's like, maybe be more like actual Ulysses S. Grant.
He was very good at what he
did. Toxic masculinity.
And he was highly empathetic. Yeah. Why not both? Let's just fuck off, man. Uno, you'll love this.
In your whiskey. Okay.
Flat tax.
No.
Check off that bingo card. We got a flat tax. He calls Snap Taneth Wick programs modern day slavery. He thinks we should lovingly fat shame each other so that we get off our asses and get healthier.
Let's start with you, Mark.
Yeah.
Let's see how you like my teasing.
No one's ever been lovingly fat shamed unless that's your kink. And even then, it only happens in, specific environments. Pre-decided moments.
Yeah. You're allowed a safe word too.
Exactly. Yeah. He wants to ban gender affirming treatment for minors, which this is going to be across the board. I don't think there's any candidate that is against this idea.
Right. Speaking
it's
of
just become a real hot button topic. Yeah. Allowing children to be happy and themselves. But we'll go from that to, I think, the funniest one. He wants to put Reagan on Mount Rushmore. And of course, I'm going to do a deep dive on this one because I think it's important to understand the onion of shit that is Mount Rushmore and the monument placed upon it. So the first layer, that's not the name of the fucking mountain. Lakota Sioux had called it, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce this because there's a letter in Lakota Sioux that it's kind of like taking the ch from Hanukkah, but putting a T in front of it, and it's really, really tough to figure out.
Yeah.
So Fukashila Shakpa is the name of the mountain, which translates to the six grandfathers. And it's been the name of the mountain for thousands of years. And the name Rushmore wouldn't even be placed on the mountain until 1884. And this was when New York City lawyer Charles E. Rushmore was in the area, asked the local what the name of the mountain was, and the local said, "We don't have one. What's your last name?" And they decided from there on out to call it Mount Rushmore.
Oh, and for shame, local, for shame.
Well, and the U.S. government would not make it the official name of that mountain until 1930. So maybe it doesn't fucking matter that you want to call it Mount Rushmore. We can call Denali by its real fucking name. Let's all as a group figure out how to pronounce TH and together.
Yes. Yeah.
Second layer, there is plenty of proof that the mountain is not legally America's to own. So the Treaty of Fort Laramie was signed in 1868 by the Oglala, Miniconjou, and Brule brands of the Lakota, as well as the Yanktonai Dakota and the Arapaho Nation. The summary of the treaty dictated that the boundaries of what was known then as the Great Sioux Reservation would be essentially all of western South Dakota. So it went as far east as the Missouri River and went as far west as South Dakota's modern-day boundary. It was a large fuck ton of land. And the treaty guaranteed that this land would belong to the signees forever, and that the U.S. government would punish any settlers that tried to encroach on that land. However, it also had stipulations to forcefully westernize the Sioux, also known as cultural genocide, in order that the government could legally punish any indigenous folks on this land as well. It also brought about the end to Red Cloud's War, which was a 2-year conflict between the U.S. government and the Lakota, Northern Cheyenne, and Northern Arapaho peoples. The treaty would last for 8 years. This would be because America's greatest villain, George Custer, decided he was going to lead a group of military dudes into the Black Hills. And while he was there, he found gold. And the thing about finding gold is it really makes a lot of white dudes show up unannounced and uninvited.
It really trumps any flimsy legal status and protection that was already granted to you by an oppressing nation.
Yeah. And so it became really, really hard to enforce that part of the treaty that said, hey, you're not allowed on our land. This is our land and we can kick you out. And all these new people said, well, there's more of us now, so make us. And when you ask the American government to do it, they're like, well, about that gold, that sounds kind of nice.
Yeah.
I've been doing some research for another episode. The Cherokee referred to this as talking leaves, where essentially a treaty would become null and void at any point. And anytime the American government changed their mind, it would be like the wind blowing the leaves away.
Oof.
Yeah. So miners rushed to the area. The government didn't do anything to stop them. And the government essentially decided to try and force the Lakota Sioux into signing a brand new treaty that ceded away the entire Black Hills where all the gold was. And when they said, no, we're not going to sign a new treaty, we like the treaty, they just declared war on them. The Lakota, Dakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho would surrender in 1 year, and the U.S. government took everything back and established the reservation system, ensuring that indigenous Americans would be stuck on some of the most inhospitable land available. In 1980, the Sioux Nation would sue the U.S. government for breaking the terms of the Treaty of Fort Laramie and forcing the leaders to sign a new treaty in 1876 under duress and the threat of starvation. The Sioux had tried to sue the government previously in 1923, but the case would be dismissed in the year, I shit thee not, 1942.
Whoa!
The Sioux then took their complaints before the Indian Claims Commission in 1946 and lost. They would try again in 1958 and again in 1972. And by then, the commission finally agreed that they should probably at least pay the Sioux for the land. But the deal was they weren't going to pay the Sioux any interest on the land because the treaty had stipulated that if the land is bought, any interest that would accrue between taking the land and paying for the land would have to accrue. But the Indian Commission said, no, we're just going to pay you what the land's worth and that's it. Yeah, their essential argument on that is that there was a statute of limitations on the interest. And since it had been over 100 years since the land had taken, the U.S. government was not going to pay 100+ years of interest.
Well, whose fault was that?
Look, if you wanted a speedy trial, go to another nation. So they took it to court in 1980, and the Sioux ended up winning in an 8-1 decision. And in today's money, the Sioux were now owed $1.5 billion by the U.S. government. But since 1980, they have declined to take it because anything less than getting the rightful land back is unacceptable, and taking that money would be admitting defeat.
Ooh, yeah, I like that. Take the land back.
You know, it's a simple fucking thing. They're not even asking for all of Western South Dakota. They're just asking for the Black Hills, and that's it.
Oh.
3. Gutzon Borglum, who sculpted the monument, was an immense fucking racist and was deeply involved with the Klan.
Oh, Lord, of course.
And he was besties with the Grand Dragon at the time named D.C. Stevenson, who would later be found guilty of rape and murder.
Oh my God.
Gutzon was also the reason that we have Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Roosevelt on the mountain. The initial pitch was that the mountain was going to be more of a Western appeal sort of pastiche that would include Lewis and Clark, Sacagawea, Red Cloud, Buffalo Bill Cody, and Crazy Horse. But the racist Borglum countered that four presidents would kind of have a better tourist appeal and bring more interest to the area.
Wow.
And yeah, and because of that, Rushmore's kind of been meant to be a tourist trap from day one, not like this huge monument to democracy, just a way to get suckers to go to the middle of nowhere in South Dakota.
Truly, though, and I was suckered. I stopped by.
Which leads us to 4. Mount Rushmore fucking sucks. It is. Look, I went there for a Boy Scout trip, and you know, you get the feeling it's going to be this cool ass mountain with these like huge faces and everything. It's going to be just breathtaking. And you get there, and it's so fucking far away. It's itty bitty. You can barely fucking see the thing. You have to pay for parking to even look at the fucking thing. It's fucking bullshit. It would have been better if it was just a mound, not to even mention that the mountain was supposed to be full head to waist figures, but they figured out that the mountain was unstable enough to do that, and they ran out of money, so they couldn't. So underneath the heads is just a fuck ton of rubble.
Yeah, that's right. It looks weird.
It looks like a dump. It looks like someone decided to do a home ec experiment and just gave up. So by 1941, Gutzon had died, good riddance, and his son was finishing things up. The whole project had spent $17.4 million in today's money. No new money was coming in, and his kid said, fuck it, heads are enough, and just said it was done. So ignoring all of that, let's say the land was like no one's ever lived on it, and that the guy who made this monument wasn't a complete white supremacist. Let's pretend everything's fine. Even on top of that, let's say you want to add a fifth fucking face. Well, you wouldn't be the first to want to do that. In 1937, a bill had been attempted to get pushed through Congress to add Susan B. Anthony, but failed. In 1963, there was a push to add JFK after his assassination. And then there was the push to get Ron Reagan, and there were pushes for that in 1985 and in 1999. The New York Times would ask readers who should be added in 2018, and with 75% of the vote, the winner was Franklin Roosevelt.
Really?
Yeah, it was like universally people thought FDR. It was a simpler time that everyone's like, yeah, FDR should probably be up there. Second place on the Republican side was Ronald Reagan. Second place on the Democrat side was Barack Obama, who had just finished being president.
Yeah, we need to calm down.
Yeah. But according to Governor Kristi Noem, Donald Trump told her back in 2019 that it is his serious dream to get his face on Rushmore.
Oh, sure. Or at least just the name, like maybe in the rubble, just Trump.
That'd be genuinely hilarious. But either way, pick a face and move forward. Then you got another issue. And the issue is, it is completely fucking impossible. So the Sioux Falls Argus leader started looking into this when the New York Times had made that poll to try to figure out who should be the fifth face. And they found out that the National Park Service had actually looked into this back in 1989. They brought in I'm going to get this right, a rock mechanics engineering firm to check out the mountain, to figure things out. And they came back and said, yeah, mountain's fucked. Anywhere to the left, right, or below the heads is horribly unstable. And even if you tried to put in a fifth face, you would probably crumble the whole fucking thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So this is my way of saying, maybe we should put a fifth face on Rushmore. Maybe we should do this.
Maybe we should just put it all out of its misery.
Yeah, just end this dumb mountain and just move on.
Be like, I am so sorry, Lakota people.
Yeah. This is the beginning of many apologies. Sorry. So yeah, that's Mark Bakita. He's polling at 0% and losing to a guy with a Twitter that hasn't been updated in 4 years.
Wow. Not like 0% tells me that when randomly called, your mom is admitting that she's not even voting for you.
Yeah. 100. Look, if I were Mark's mom, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm changing my last name. I'm moving to another state. Florida sounds nice. Let's just do that.
Yeah. Mark who?
So next we have our first mid-level candidate. And this would be in State Senator Matt Dolan. So Matt was born in Cleveland, Ohio, grew up on the east side in Sharon, and graduated from the Gilmore Academy, a private Catholic boarding school, which, great sentence. It should be noted that Forbes magazine ranks the Dolan family as the 54th wealthiest family in the entire fucking country.
Oh, boy.
That ends up being wealthy enough for Matt's dad to be able to buy the Cleveland Guardians baseball team in 2000. Back when their name was a lot more racist.
Oh.
Those Guardians.
Yeah.
That was Cleveland Guardians.
Okay.
So as for Matt, he would get his law degree from Case Western Reserve University, which I'm going to say is starting to seem like a red flag. It's going to come up a lot. Case Western Reserve is a highly respected school. I don't know if I respect it as much after this episode, but we'll get to that.
Or maybe just their law school?
Maybe just their law school. Look, Northwestern's business department is a trash fire of psychosis. So Northwestern pretty okay. But
yeah, there's always a black sheep among schools and big universities.
Yeah. The saying I've always heard for Northwestern's business school is that in 20 years, you'll either be a CEO or in prison.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he goes to Case Western, gets his law degree there, becomes an attorney, and then he parlays that into becoming the assistant attorney general of the entire fucking state, and then the chief assistant prosecutor for all of Geauga County. He'd won his first election for State House in 2004, be reelected 2 more times, then lose the race to be the Cuyahoga County executive in 2010. Then he would later enter State Senate in 2016. And yeah, I'm speeding through what would normally be an impressive resume, and that's entirely because this platform page reads a lot more like a resume. Instead of saying what he will do in Congress, it's all a list of things that he's done in the past. Which yeah, past actions are important, but at least mention something specific you plan to do in the future. But he does take a couple of big swings, such as accusing China for purposely causing COVID. He takes credit for the number of abortions in Ohio dropping by 40%, which, I'm trying to figure this out because he was in the state house from 2004 till 2010. In 2004, there were about 32,000 abortions in the state. And by 2010, there were 26,000, which would be a drop of about 19%. But trying to figure out where this number came from, I started looking in 2016 when he entered the US Senate. And that's when they were around 19,000-ish, which would equal 40%. So I don't know what the fuck you're saying here, Matt. Were you leading to the decrease in abortions when you weren't in office, just through will?
If I were on an opposing candidate's team, I would just go for an all-out like slanderous campaign of saying like, yeah, he decreased abortions by 40% because he stopped raping women for a period of 2 years. Is this the guy you want?
Man, Una hard in the paint. Yeah. I will say too, another thing that makes this number a lot less impressive is that rate of 19,000 abortions a year started in 2014 when Matt wasn't even in the government at all and has remained static every year since. So since he's entered state senate, he's done nothing to reduce abortions by his own numbers.
But it hasn't gone up, has it?
That's
Dusty?
True. It is my goal to ensure that 19,000 people in Ohio have abortions every year. No more, no less.
No less.
Everyone gets a ticket. We're scheduling out, get a reservation for 2023. We're already out for 22. That's the Matt Dolan promise. He wants to remove any licensing or permits associated with having a gun. And the big one would be this statement, quote, I understand council culture more than anyone. And then he proceeds to give no examples why. But I gotta make some inferences here. And I think it's because Dadums had a rough time owning the Cleveland Guardians for a few years.
Yeah, well...
And I can actually trace this back to 2018. So, I mean, for years, at least since the 1970s, the American Indian movement has pushed really, really hard to be like, hey, maybe Chief Wahoo is really offensive. And
hey, yeah, maybe we all know this is terrible.
We have historical evidence that you didn't name the team after Alexei Sokolexis, that it's just like you picked a name and now you're using a myth to be able to keep it.
Jesus.
But the big issue came in 2018 when his dad decided to do an interview with the Oberlin Review. Talk to some student journalists. What could go wrong?
Like, man, just Google before you, like, this is a guy who just showed up with all the confidence in the world. Mm-hmm. Just a nice little money bubble.
I'm the 54th richest man in America. What are you going to do?
Yeah, nothing could touch me. Oh.
So he went to talk to a student journalist at Oberlin. And they were asking him about the baseball team. And he claimed that the name was not racist, that protesters were only there for attention, and that he thinks he knows racism when he sees it. This caused a whole whirlwind of controversy, which essentially led to them changing the name to the Guardians and hurt all of the Dolans' fifis.
You bought it, so suck it up. Mm-hmm. You could have gotten ahead of it. You could have been like, oh my God, this thing I just bought is, wow, so racist. That's so terrible. I, on my own volition, am going to change it to the Guardians.
Your benevolent oligarch has decided on an okay name.
Yes. You're like, and all of you fans out there who are so hurt, you can't do an incredibly hurtful hand gesture anytime we actually win. Well, you know what? Hot dogs on me.
Yeah. You can trade in your old gear for new gear completely free of charge. Doesn't matter how old.
Boom.
This is simple shit.
Boom.
Fun, awful fact. They didn't stop using the Chief Wahoo mascot until 2016.
That's just
look, I mean, you can make at least the Blackhawks have permission from the Blackhawk tribe to use the imagery they do. The new Washington Commanders, it's at least a drawing of a human. Chief Wahoo looks like you took the worst era of Disney and shoved it into a baseball team.
Yeah, you took a 1920s cartoon.
You know all those parts of Peter Pan we're not allowed to show anymore? Why don't we do that but charge people to buy it?
Who let you in the vault? No one's supposed to go in there.
Wait, did Walt tell you anything from his cryogenic chamber? Was it about the Jews? It's probably Jews.
Don't get him started. He won't stop.
Well, here's a Mickey Pretzel. Have fun. So either way, Matt is not bowling that well. And he's probably going to finish, in the middle, the sad middle somewhere.
Good. He should feel the taste of failure once in his life.
Yeah, he's going to do just as well as the 2021 Cleveland Guardians. Oh, baseball slam.
Oh, yeah.
And as a final punchline, do you know how much of his personal money Matt has spent to fail this badly?
Oh, I hope all of it.
$10.5 million.
That's so much money to have and waste.
It's a comedic amount.
I want a piece of it.
Never exist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's Matt Dolan, a real piece of shit.
Jesus Christ.
The second of our mid-tier people is someone that felt like she was going to be a force to be reckoned with during this election, mainly because a fair number of people thought she was going to get that much coveted Trump endorsement. And I'm speaking of the former state chair of the Ohio Republican Party, Jane Timken. So Jane was born in 1966 in Cincinnati, Ohio. She's a Harvard grad in psychology, got her law degree from American University, which is real. I'm not making that up. She is also married to Ward Timken, who is the former president and CEO of Timken Steel, which gave her an uncle-in-law who was also once a U.S. ambassador to Germany. So she has married into an extraordinarily wealthy family with a decent amount of prestige. And while marrying into the Timken family, I assume had some extra advantages, Jane would make a name for her own as the party's most important influence in the age of Trump. In 2010, Jane would become the party vice chair in Stark County. But after the 2016 election, the state party was at a bit of a crossroads. That year, Governor of Ohio John Kasich ran against Trump for the presidency, and he had the gall, the unmitigated fucking nerve of staying in the race longer than he should have. The nice meme with John Kasich is he's only in this election for the free food, because every picture of him is eating at a diner and like just stuffing his face with free shit.
I think of John Kasich and I think of like the two like lobster hands just kind of up. Like he has like he has Zoidberg hands.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
100%. And so the thing that made it even worse is that Kasich decided to stay in the race to be an anti-Trump option for people going forward. So they didn't feel like they had to vote for Donald Trump in the future primaries. And being a never Trump option kind of really pissed Donald off. So when 2017 came and the state party was going to elect their new chair, there was a huge push to kick out all the Kasich allies from leadership. Trump would endorse Jane to take on Kasich ally and incumbent Matt Borges, which for a sitting president to endorse a state party chair nominee is kind of unprecedented. Usually if you're the president, you don't worry or bother about those sorts of things. You have other stuff to do. But Trump was so pissed off at Kasich that he wanted to make him fucking pay. And during this time, Trump also personally called a number of party members in the state to sway them to vote for Jane. And it ended up being enough. Jane would win and then cleaned house. Kasich's people were pushed out and Trumpists were pushed in. Weirdly enough, Trump hasn't really repaid this favor in any way, shape, or form. Weird, I know.
That's, so common.
Yeah, and he's just kind of sitting things out to see where the chips land because he cannot endorse someone who will lose. And Jane's just not doing that well. But her platform could best be summarized as, what's the phrase? Notice me, senpai.
Oh, no.
It is all Trump talking points and praise across the board, which would make sense if it looked like Trump was actually going to make an endorsement. But with the primary about a month away, that's not going to happen. It's too late for that to ever occur. And it feels a little desperate at this point. That being said, what is our platform? 1, finish building the border wall, reinstitute the Remain in Mexico policy, which we talked about during the Texas episode and is complete bullshit.
Yeah.
End all COVID regulations, including those enacted by employers. Give tax credits to businesses that train local high school students. So I'm half and half on this because it's about training high school students for the jobs of tomorrow. And the millennial experience is we're told what the jobs of tomorrow are going to be. And then 4 years later, they are the jobs that no longer exist. So this idea of training high school students for jobs that might exist in the future seems a bit flawed when you should probably just reinvigorate the apprenticeship programs that currently exist.
I also just think it just feels like a loophole into lowering ages for labor. It's like, you don't have enough people to work because you are still keeping wages suppressed.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I would completely agree with that because, there's no stipulation that you have to, you probably have to pay the minimum wage, but these definitely aren't going to be union opportunities for these kids coming in.
Right. And also it's like so if you can train high school students, why can't you train 30 and 40-year-olds? Why can't you invest in them? It's like, because you would have to pay them a living wage.
Yeah. You can't pay them in experience, which I imagine this would be treated as.
Yes.
She believes the 2020 election was not legitimate, claiming that there was, quote, unquestionably voter fraud, citation needed. She states, quote, I don't just use election integrity as a buzzword or a rallying cry. I've actually worked to secure elections. As Ohio Party chair, I helped recruit an army of poll watchers and lawyers to make sure our election was done right, resulting in a resounding re-election victory for President Trump in Ohio by over 8.5 points, which makes it sound like you weren't interested in voter integrity, more interested in making sure your person won by a lot.
Yeah, my ear definitely caught the word army. I don't doubt her in that.
Yeah, it definitely kind of, contradicts your point that you're trying to make.
Yeah, fun anecdote, again, of the 2004 election when I was in Ohio. I waited 4 hours to vote in Lorain County, and that was because they had, 2 voting booths for the entire campus zip code. Yeah. And pretty much next door in the adjoining zip code of Lorain County, they had 20 because that, there's a huge town and gown problem.
Yeah. Yeah. She also wants to make it easier to sue Twitter, Facebook, and other such tech companies for, quote, First Amendment reasons.
Oh, God, the irony hurts.
Yeah, I think it was The Onion that said local libertarian mad at private business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I don't have anything to add. It's just really fucking dumb. And finally, this little chestnut, quote, the left wants our children to believe that America is racist and an evil country, but I won't let them. Granted, I added that bit of acting at the end, theater kid and all. But Jane, how? Do you just want to ignore it? I mean, we just talked about Mount Rushmore, Jane. We just covered this.
It cracks me up too, because I think of my experience learning US history, and trust me, it is incredibly whitewashed, super whitewashed. Like maybe you get the one American history teacher who's like, and I did have this in 8th grade. He was very turn the chair around and then
oh my God,
sit facing the students. It's I'm going to rap at you kids and tell you what the Pilgrims were really like. I remember thinking in 8th grade, just being like, wait, it was like this? Why didn't you just tell me in 5th grade? Right. Jesus Christ. I've been I'm more annoyed than anything. Just level with me.
When I was in middle school, I was in one of those advanced side classes you get to take if you are really good at memorizing shit, and they're like, "Oh, you're probably really smart. Go study some real shit for a while." And it was in this with 5 other kids in my grade that I learned about Japanese internment camps. There was a whole book of all the dark shit no one talks about. I remember being so pissed off that no one told me about these things.
Yeah.
It's no one likes to be lied to. And yeah, it's the ideals of America are really beautiful and amazing, and we're not the intention of the people who founded the country.
Right.
Both can be fucking true.
Yeah, it's but meanwhile, it's just I've been walking around like a yutz this whole time.
I know, right?
Good God.
Just the Pilgrims and the Indians hung out and they ate corn. It was fucking great. They were good friends.
All right, cool.
Yeah, history done. And you're oh, we fought 100 years genocide against the people who were here first? Why didn't anyone fucking tell me? I wouldn't have made that hand turkey if I knew.
Exactly. I could have made something else.
Entire groups of people are being wiped off the fucking earth, and you want me to make a construction paper cornucopia? Go fuck yourself. Yeah. And so it really sucks that a lot of these people are no, let's keep whitewashing history, and if we just ignore it long enough, it won't exist anymore. Or just being personally offended that we keep having to bring up the terrible shit that happened, when I don't know, maybe it's important to know this so we don't do it again, or we can understand why things are harder for some people.
Yes.
Jane. I keep thinking all these people identify as Christians, but they're making some real strong bets that they don't think hell is real.
They think they're Christians, but unfortunately they're Romans.
Yeah, they're the diet right of Christianity. It's very... Anyway, she's never going to get Donald's endorsement, but she has been able to get a few others. She's gotten such celebrities as Kellyanne Conway, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, serial abuser Corey Lewandowski, and retiring Senator Rob Portman.
Oh, Rob.
But sadly for Jane, this hasn't been enough to push her close to the top 3 contenders. And Una, I don't mind saying, these are evil men. And if you have a drink, I'd recommend grabbing one. They're just all uniquely awful in very unique ways, and it makes me frustrated they all found different ways to be the worst. And we're going to kick things off with this first one, a venture capitalist and author by the name of J.D. Vance. So James Donald Bowman was born in 1984 in Middletown, Ohio. JD's parents would get divorced while he was a toddler, and his mother would remarry, and his name would change to James Donald Hamlin. JD would note that much of his childhood was spent being raised by his grandparents, the Vances. So once again, JD would change his name, settling now on John David Vance. After graduating high school, JD enlisted in the Marines. During the Iraq War, he'd served in the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing, predominantly doing public affairs work. Following the Marines, he would attend the Ohio State University, which I legally have to say that way, or I'm never allowed back in the state, and get a double major in political science and philosophy. The devil's duo.
Yeah, seriously.
He then moved on to Yale University, where he got his law degree. But while he was there, he also got a really solid piece of advice. One of his professors was Amy Chua, who during the early 2010s set the country ablaze with her memoir, Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother. The phrase was coined by Chua herself and describes an East Asian mother that is a strict disciplinarian and cares the most about her child's academic success above all things. It's been noted that while this can potentially result in high levels of academic success, it can also do so at the risk of maturing emotions and expanding social skills with their child's peers. Chua would state, though, that it was never meant to be a self-help book, book or any sort of like guide stone on how to raise your kids. It was strictly a memoir and never to be taken as anything else. Her kids have also stated that they liked their childhood and that they don't regret anything their mom ever did, but she got a lot of flack at the time.
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
So either way, her book's a big success. And after hearing about JD's upbringing in rural Ohio, she told him that he should probably write a book himself. And he would, but first he had to do one thing: make that fucking money.
What, you mean he's not going to do that writing a book? Womp womp.
So JD did law for a bit, but he was drawn out to that siren call of Silicon Valley, where possibilities are endless, sort of, kind of.
If you're a person who looks like JD Vance.
Well, he got hired by probably one of the more sinister tech bros. Not that one. Not the other one you're thinking of. Not that one either. No. All right, look, I'll pin it down. I know there's a lot. He ended up getting hired into a company called Mithril Capital, which was run by a guy named Peter Thiel. Now, Peter Thiel is a complex life story, and I do not have time to go over all of it. But to give you an idea of who he is, he has 3 childhood loves: D&D, Ayn Rand, and Ronald Reagan.
I mean, the Ayn Rand is assumed. I didn't know about the others.
Yeah. Peter Thiel is a huge dork. One of the things that's most noted for him is all of his companies are Lord of the Rings references.
This is so disheartening.
So after college and a law degree, Peter became interested in this weird shit called the internet and all the financial potential that was to be had in 1998. So he started an investment firm with $1 million and lucked out by investing in freaking PayPal and becoming friends with Elon Musk.
Yep.
He'd be named CEO of the company until eBay ended up buying it for $1.5 billion in February of 2002. It's kind of mind-boggling to think that eBay had that kind of money at the time.
Yeah.
So after the sale, Peter made $55 million. In 2003, he founded Palantir Technologies, which is backed by the CIA of all things. In 2004, he invested in Facebook for a 10% stake in the company and a seat at the board. He'd end up selling his shares in 2012 for a total of $1 billion. Other companies that he's invested in include Airbnb, LinkedIn, Yelp, Spotify, SpaceX, Asana, and Stripe. He's also bought $20 million of crypto in 2017. He is the kind of wealthy that makes you think he should have a mustache that he twirls.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of my image of him is influenced heavily by that HBO show.
Oh, Silicon Valley?
Yeah, Silicon Valley. Whereas there's a guy, who's very libertarian and just hates college, hates it, wants people to leave college and then come to Silicon Valley and just be gruntworks or whatever. But I just get the sense of he is by my own island libertarian rich.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, funny enough, he's actually invested money into the whole libertarian island movement. They're trying to create their own island nation.
What else are you going to do with that much money?
Look, you got to throw
give it away
somehow. But yeah, it's that kind of rich that I'm sure he feels self-made, but I don't think between the two of us we could raise $1 million with the people that we
nope.
I could ask one person and she would tell me no, and for good reason.
Definitely not $1 million in $1998.
Not even close. I could maybe sell $100 in Girl Scout cookies if I had a kid. That would be the top.
I don't think I could even do that. I don't think people would buy from me. I'm being honest.
Fair enough. So yeah, but Peter Thiel starts to get really kind of scary in 2016. And it's around this time a little website called Gawker was around. And Gawker ended up getting sued by Hulk Hogan because Hulk was having a rough time. They released his sex tape, I believe, and were announcing that, hey, this guy says the N-word a lot. But essentially it was the release of the sex tape without having the rights to do so that caused the Hulkster to sue Gawker. And people were wondering, Hulk Hogan's rich. He made a lot of 80s, 90s money, but he doesn't seem like the sort of guy who saves it well.
Yeah.
And this lawsuit just kept going and going. And people were wondering how the fuck is this being funded. Ends up Peter Thiel was footing the bill the entire fucking time. Because the year prior, Gawker outed Peter Thiel.
Oh.
And this became the moment he's like, I am just going to financially ruin you. And look, Gawker's no angels. They did a lot of fucked up shit for a number of years, but it is chilling that an ultra billionaire could just decide, oh, I'll just ruin you through the courts.
Yeah.
Is kind of fucking scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think Peter Thiel also paid off Brett Kavanaugh's gambling debts?
Look, we need to find out. I need to know. It was either Jenny Thomas or Peter Thiel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Separate conversation.
Look, we'll learn one day during nuclear winter, someone will be like, it was actually me. I actually gave him money for that. Worst decision of my life. You want to eat some human?
Gather around, children.
Let me tell you the tale of how I slowly ruined the world. It's also around this time that he shifts to a fully nationalist stance. stance, that he's no longer just like libertarian, live your own life. He is like, no, we need to focus on this country and a few people need to run it. So in 2016, he supported Carly Fiorina for president, but when she dropped out, he immediately jumped over to Trump and he ended up serving as one of Trump's delegates for California at the GOP convention. TL has also spent every year since 1995 ranting about the evils of political correctness and multiculturalism, which he founded a whole foundation on this idea called the Stanford Review when he was at school.
Oh, no.
He has apologized for at least one of his stances, which I believe is rape doesn't happen in a vacuum, that women are raped due to how they act. He has walked that back, but he still thinks multiculturalism is a complete evil and should not exist.
I mean, not far enough. He has to walk. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Look, when I was we were all undergrads. We all have bad ideas. I used to think The Boondock Saints was a good movie. I've walked that back since.
Wait, are you telling me it's not?
Look, it does not hold up, Una. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm going to rewatch it then. Oh, I can't wait. Okay. All right. I can't wait to also find out how much I've matured or not matured.
So it makes it all the cooler that he's kind of dove into the 2022 midterms, hell-bent in pushing forward candidates that best reflect his version of libertarian hyper-nationalism. And when you fucking know it, old John Donald David Bauman Hamill Vance made such a good impression while working at Mitchell that Peter can't wait to throw a fuck ton of cash at him. You know, we can't really go into JD without talking about the thing that actually made him famous. In 2016, he would take Amy Chua's advice and wrote a book about his upbringing in Southwest Ohio that he called Hillbilly Elegy, which I'm going to be a little bit of a regionalist asshole on this. I don't know if you can count Southwest Ohio as Appalachia or like hillbilly territory, but whatever. I'm not a geography man.
I'm the classist between us, so
fair enough. Yeah. So he wrote Hillbilly Elegy about his upbringing, and I could rant about it, but I've never read about it. So I need to bring in an expert. So I'm going to turn this over to a friend of the podcast, Nicki Mazzocca. She is an adjunct professor at Ohio University, currently teaching a class on Appalachia and the media, specifically looking at the various Appalachian stereotypes that exist and who they benefit throughout media.
Oh, how about them apples?
It's a good class. She's also the board president of the Little Cities of Black Diamonds, which works to preserve the stories and history of the coal mining towns of Southeast Ohio. So I'm going to turn it over to Nicki to tell us why Hillbilly Elegy is a piece of shit.
You're catching me at a good time because I just went to the Appalachian Studies Association conference. No one had a kind word to say about JD Vance in that entire building. And that is from 13 states worth of people because, and there's a lot of because behind this, it's because he appropriated a culture that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as Appalachian culture because it's 13 states long, and he sort of used it as a white supremacist dog whistle, essentially, because a lot of the time when people talk about, like, especially when you hear the words Scotch Irish, be on alert. That is absolutely a white supremacist dog whistle and always has been because, I mean, first of all, there's no such fucking place as Scots Ireland. And the Scots Irish had no distinctive heritage markers that were any different from the Scottish, which is what they were, Scottish. And it essentially came from this article called Our Contemporary Ancestors, which was one of the first Appalachian stereotypes. Those people stuck in time because they needed this idea of they're pure, this racial white purity. They're just stuck in time and they need people to come in and help them. So while at the same time, it was also a white supremacist dog whistle, it was also an excuse. Well, they don't know what to do with the resources they have. It's absolutely our duty to go in and develop them. It sucks. But somewhere in his book, he says, I'm a Scots-Irish hillbilly boy at heart. And I was just like, that doesn't mean anything. That's not a culture.
Yeah.
It's never been a culture. And I think that the huge problem that, at least from what I've heard, and again, this is just folks who were like mostly in the academic community surrounding Appalachian studies and sociology and, history. And, oh God, I'm forgetting several very important parts of it. But there are also like community organizations that go there and things like that. But the important thing to know is that they're from all parts of the political spectrum and nobody had a nice thing to say about JD Vance. And the huge problem is that he claimed this fake culture, essentially, and associated it with himself to boost himself up. And now that he has gotten where he wants to be, he's dropped it. It's nowhere on his website, but he's also saying things like Appalachian values, Appalachian morals. And I was like, what are those? Because there are too many states, too many different kinds of people in this massive region to point to a specific set of values or culture or anything of the kind and say, that's Appalachian. And that's what he did. He sort of perpetuated this idea of otherness that isn't actually real. He's shown a light on the horrendous problem of addiction, which is very bad in this region. Absolutely. I lost many people in my personal graduating class to overdose. And nowhere does he blame the companies that dumped all those pills and coerced the doctors. And it's not mentioned anywhere in his, I think he briefly mentions it, doesn't say what he's going to do. It's more like, this is just bad. Oh, darn, shucks, there's drugs. He dropped it and is no longer shining a light on the issue that needs systemic change. He perpetuated the bootstrap myth that it is up to the individual to change systemic issues. And he has done a lot of harm by doing that. He set us back a lot. And also, he doesn't really believe in anything or stand for anything. So I'm very scared of him because I don't know what he's going to do. He clearly doesn't give a fuck about anybody here. And the thing that pissed me off more than anything is I actually have this here. This is Bell Hooks' Appalachian Elegy. He rode her coattails in his fucking title.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this was published in 2012. His book was published in 2016. And it's just some bullshit. He did a lot of harm and a lot of insult to the region without having any real plan to help anyone but himself. And that has become very obvious as he is running.
Hey, Nicki, where would you recommend people go if they want to learn more about the wild expanse of Appalachia and really get a better understanding of how things are?
Oh my gosh. Your local library to pick up Appalachian Reckoning. A region responds to Hillbilly Elegy. It's edited by Anthony Harkins and Meredith McCarroll. I would send you to appleshop.org, APPALSHOP.org. They have been doing media productions since the 60s in Kentucky, in Whitesburg, Kentucky. And they have a ton of documentaries and folklore and music. It's an amazing place to start if you really want to dig into the large variety of culture that goes on in this region. Apple Shop is a great place to start. There is a book called Not Far From Me, Stories of Opioids and Ohio. It's edited by Daniel Skinner and Berkeley Franz. It's excellent. It is teenagers talking about, like, it's them processing their stories of opioids in Ohio. Old Gods of Appalachia. If you just want something fun and creepy, listen to that podcast. It's excellent. If you want to learn more about the Black experience in Appalachia, Black in Appalachia podcast, holy shit, are they incredible. Listen to it right now. If you want to listen to some like ornery progressive stuff, the Trillbilly podcast, listen to them. You will hear a side of Appalachia that I goddamn guarantee you've never heard before. And also the Mine Wars Museum. If you ever get a chance to visit, go to the Mine Wars Museum. Yeah, there are just so many things out there. Just be cautious of anyone masquerading and just be cautious of stereotypes in general, because the stereotypes of Appalachia work just like any other stereotype does. It is helping someone, and you might want to just follow the money and figure out who, because it's definitely not the people being stereotyped. If you want to learn about Appalachia, go visit. It's not the scary place everybody says it is. It's absolutely gorgeous. The people will just start talking to you if you are in line anywhere for anything about anything. For a long time. They will walk you to your car. You will have the conversation will continue.
Well, Nicki, thank you so much for
Oh, sorry. I've managed to Appalachian goodbye our entire conversation.
Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience. And
well, thanks for having me. I love the podcast.
Course.
I was excited to participate.
So after Hillbilly Elegy went, I don't know, platinum, I don't know how they award books, JD was suddenly viewed as the oracle of the Rust Belt. In 2017, he became kind of this know-it-all for why people voted for Trump, like a translator for us civilized types from these dumb fucking hicks who don't know any better.
For so many New York Times editors, it's like, oh, thank God we don't have to go on any Cletus safaris anymore.
Yep.
We can just page JD Vance.
Yep. It's funny you say that because JD became a regular contributor on CNN to talk about these issues. The New York Times did list it as one of the top 10 books to understand why Trump won.
Which is why maybe don't read the New York Times.
But yeah, it becomes all the more frustrating because he hadn't lived in the area for a full 2 decades. And look,
And a lot happened.
A lot fucking happens. Like, I mean, I grew up in Appalachia. I grew up, through the spectrum of class. When I was 4, our Christmas was gifts that my parents found at garage sales. And to go from that to my dad getting like an executive job at John Deere, and we're suddenly living very comfortably and very well. We've been through the gamut. Mm-hmm. I don't think my experience at the age of 4 qualifies me to talk about the struggles of Appalachia and the impoverishment that currently exists. So JD coming from the fucking Silicon Valley to talk shit is a bit fucking awful, let alone being 2 decades out of the experience.
Right. It's like there's been a recession and an incredible opium addiction in that time, sir.
Yeah.
And you got out.
Yeah. And even when you're here, I don't believe that you understood the plight that was existing. I get the feeling, and look, we've all been there as teenagers, that your goal was getting the fuck out. Because that's every teenager's goal, is to get the fuck out. Mm-hmm. So what do? You make a movie out of it. So the movie goes to Netflix. Glenn Close and Amy Adams are in it. It is widely panned as not good. With the Glenn Close role, I really get the feeling they desperately wanted Meryl Streep. Not to say that Glenn Close is a bad actress. She did very good with how little she was given, but it's definitely the feeling I got that JD felt like he deserved Meryl. Anyway, so after his book does well, he decides he's going to actually stay in Ohio this time, to go to the, to stay in rural Ohio and really keep getting the idea. So he moves to Cincinnati. And he decides to start a venture capital group called Narya Capital. And then this fuck decides he deserves to run for Senate, but not as the likable mystic that liberals came to love, but as this complete scumbag dilettante. And yeah, I may have a chip on my shoulder because, I grew up nearish to where he lived, but I also don't have the shady balls to go out and write poverty porn pretending like I understand everything that's happening. So I'm sorry to repeat Nikki's points, but fuck this poser. But JD's platform can't be as bad as his book, right? Well, I can't really say much because just like Jane, he doesn't have any plans. It's nothing but ideals. And it's sort of like an AP English exam where the topic was suck Trump's dick with 500 words and JD decided to use 700. So just
learn to edit.
Yeah. So just a sample of his ideals are banning CRT and defunding any universities that teach it, force schools to give, quote, an honest patriotic account of American history, break up all the big tech companies, conserve traditional families, and change the tax code so that it no longer penalizes marriage and family, which...
What?
Yeah, don't you kind of get tax credits for filing jointly and also for the number of dependents you have, John David Donald?
It's insane how much our tax code promotes some kind of heteronormativity of life and 2.5 kids.
Yeah, I don't know where he gets this fucking idea. I don't know, Peter Thiel's just just put it in, just trust me. But
sure. Well, and then because it's enough for some family that is struggling because they're not being paid enough to look at that and say oh, you know what? Yeah. Every little bit from the government is hurting me. So fucking change my tax code so that when we continue filing jointly, I don't know, question mark, profit.
Is this a backdoor for flat tax? I honestly don't know. It feels maybe. All right. Anyway, so he wants to end abortion entirely. Doesn't care if it's for rape, incest, or the safety of the mother. Doesn't matter anymore. Fuck you. Have the baby. Vow to block all attempts at amnesty for anyone. Stop all COVID mandates and all diversity and equity initiatives in the military.
Wow.
Yeah. That's JD. That's what he learned at Yale and from being friends with Peter Thiel, a man who hates multiculturalism.
And apparently from reading the reviews on Good Review or whatever that book site is.
Book, no amnesty.
No amnesty. Fuck the military.
But the real proof of JD's character comes to me from the people who've endorsed him. So along with Peter Thiel, you also have Senator Josh Hawley, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk, and one of the worst names that very few people know, Penny Nance. Now, Penny is the president of a group called Concerned Women for America. And these women, I think they view Handmaid's Tale as a guide. So here are some of the current initiatives of Concerned Women for America. They are anti-choice and are against emergency contraception. They have pushed to limit or deny SNAP or WIC benefits to single and unmarried mothers. The whole reason WIC exists. Supports Western familialism and traditional sexual division of labor. Strongly opposes divorce. Are against same-sex marriages. Disapproves of childless couples, stating that a Christian sole duty is to have a family. I don't know where it says that in the Bible, but, leave a comment in the chat, I guess.
When has that ever deterred anyone?
They are against the government making childcare free because this means that the mom's gonna work.
Yeah, and maybe we have to.
Yeah.
Like, what are the? Okay.
They are against porn and the lack of regulation of pornography, believing that it promotes homosexuality and premarital sex. They're also against secular teaching in public schools and demand that all lessons be taught through an evangelical Christian viewpoint. An example being abstinent-only sex ed, intelligent design, and state-sponsored school prayer.
The crazy thing is, like, most schools do have abstinence-only like sex ed
Really,
and
it doesn't work.
school prayer, and so oh god, this is like if you took Phyllis Schlafly and just let her boil down for 5 hours.
Yeah, it's like somehow worse evil for him. Yeah, it's really dark. And yeah, these women are just like, yeah, JD, you'll do this for us. Let's go. And the thing that sucks too is Vance is the first of the 3 frontrunners, which leads us to number 2, a guy who's a blend of sort of Vincent Adultman from BoJack Horseman and Stephen Miller, Ohio's baby-faced weasel, Josh Mandel. So Josh was born in 1977 in Cleveland, Ohio. His maternal grandfather survived the Holocaust, and his maternal grandmother was hidden from the Nazis in Italy. This is a detail that will make the shit that Josh pulls later even worse.
Oh no.
After playing quarterback in high school, he would attend The Ohio State University, earning a degree in question marks, and then get a law degree from Case Western Reserve.
It's Western!
Go Westerns. Upon graduation, he would join the Marines a full year before 9/11. He'd serve 8 years as an intelligence specialist and would reach the rank of sergeant. In between tours, Josh also found the time to run for and win a seat on the Lyndhurst City Council. And it's here that I'm going to directly refer to one of the most brutally titled articles I've found thus far on this guy, The Beginner's Guide to the Harrowing Soulness of Josh Mandel.
Wow.
This is written by Peter Kotz for the alt-weekly newspaper Cleveland Scene. So the mayor of Lyndhurst at the time was a guy named Joe Cicero, and he'd look back on Josh's initial campaign as a time when he was very charmed by him. Josh was campaigning door to door. He's a fresh-faced young Marine going after a modest seat to help his community. As of 2017, though, Cicero had different feelings. Quote, Josh was a wolf in sheep's clothing. He fooled everyone in the city. He was opportunistic from the start. One of the worst things that ever happened to Lyndhurst. Josh Mandel is inadequate as a human being. So after... it's not great. Doesn't look good on a LinkedIn. So after serving on the council for 3 years, Josh made the leap to state representative and started to make more of his true self known. For one, he was one of 19 members of the state to vote against making cockfighting illegal, which for those of you lucky enough not to know what that is, it's when you take 2 male roosters, you put little metal spikes on their feet, put them in a pen, and then have them stab each other until one is alive.
Yeah, it's incredibly inhumane. It's
fucking awful. And Josh said, let's not make that illegal. And his whole reason behind it was he felt there were better things that they could be doing with their time.
How long? Like, all you had to do was just vote on it and then move on to the better things.
It's on your plate now, sir. Fucking
yeah.
I mean, luckily, yes, they did make it illegal, but it's such a weird fucking thing to take a stand on. So on the other side of the evil spectrum, he voted against a law that would have made it illegal to fire, refuse services, or refuse housing to someone due to their sexual orientation or gender identity. In fact, Josh is really proud of his blatant homophobia and transphobia. He's against same-sex marriage and wants to make a constitutional amendment defining marriage as only between a man and a woman. He's against domestic partnership benefits, and he was against the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and just fully believes that no LGBTQ plus people should be allowed in the military whatsoever. But why focus all your hate on just one group of people when you could spread it around to other cultures? Josh would get his chance to do this in 2010, when he decided he was going to run for state treasurer against incumbent Kevin Boyce. During this campaign, Josh would let his Islamophobia run fucking wild. In the year prior, Kevin had hired Wala Waida to work as his secretary. It was a bit shady because Wala was the wife of a lobbyist and friend of Kevin's, so you could at least run on that of just like, insider connection. Yeah.
Beltway, yada yada.
Yeah, you can run on that, but Josh wanted something a little spicier, something that would cause a lot more chaos in a post 9/11 world. So in a TV ad, a scary voiceover would make the claim that Kevin had given Wala, quote, a sensitive job in the treasurer's office, a job Boyce admitted he only made available at their mosque. The thing about this, though, is Kevin Boyce is a Methodist.
Yeah.
And that reference is a friend of Kevin's told his mosque, hey, we have a job opening. And Wala said, okay, I'll apply for it.
Yes, as these things happen.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, with intelligent officers like this guy, it's no wonder we did so well in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Wow, that was a burn. That was very good. And so the implication is that a black man, such as Kevin Boyce, is also a Muslim, and he's conspiring a job. Well, it's kind of a dog whistle that can really get real racist pieces of shit right into the voters' booth. Because Secretary of the Treasurer's office isn't like some ultra secretive job. It's noted that Treasurer of Ohio is not exactly a Rolls Royce and caviar type position. But, you kind of got to spice it up if you're going to run for an office that no one gives two shits about. So Salon called it one of the 5 most anti-Islamic ads of the political season, which, just fuck that having to exist, that there were 5, even implicating that there were more than 5 and they had
there were more.
Down.
This was the top 5.
Yeah. And Josh ends up winning the election 55-41.
Oy, Ohio.
So Josh would sit in this job for about 2 years before deciding to strike while the iron was hot and run for Senate against Sherrod Brown, the beloved raspy-voiced Democrat. He's sort of like if Tom Waits worked at a factory and decided to do politics.
Yeah. Like who does? Well, I know who doesn't love Sherrod Brown, but come on, Sherrod Brown, the only voice of the people.
One of the few people you're allowed to like in politics is Sherrod Brown.
Yeah.
So to win, Josh would have to pull out a freaking miracle. The problem, though, is that Josh has made it this far by being opportunistic and crass and just banging the culture war drum. Dude is an anger factory. And, he's all Aaron Burr in the first act of Hamilton on any policy. He doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to give any indication so his competitors can't hit him on it. But he's fine telling you anything to make you mad and relying on culture issues to kind of keep you going and being mad enough to vote for him. But against someone like Sherrod Brown, you can't do that. So it wasn't much of a surprise when Josh lost really fucking badly. And sadly, he had to go back to his boring treasurer job. And he'd spend the next 6 years doing all kinds of shit, such as creating a website called ohiocheckbook.com to report every expenditure that the state would make, which, decent idea. The problem, though, is Josh didn't really run it up the flagpole, and Governor Kasich was doing a similar website. And they both ended up premiering at the exact same time, duplicating the work the state had to do.
No.
It was estimated in 22 that when they shut down Ohio Checkbook, the state was now saving $1 million a year.
Idiot.
He also spent $1.7 million in state funds to run ads with him and Ohio State football coach Urban Meyer to promote the Treasury Department. The very next year, the state would make that kind of spending illegal because the way it was presented was sort of like a campaign ad.
Yeah.
He also sent a threatening letter to the Treasurer of California, ordering him to stop prosecution of one of Josh's donors, a dude named Ben Suarez. And after sending that letter, Josh suddenly got a huge donation from all of Suarez's employees. The Treasurer of California completely ignored Josh, and Suarez would spend a year in federal prison for campaign finance violations.
Oh my God. This is shady as hell.
Yeah, Josh, he's bad at hiding shit, and he's bad at really doing much anything else. And after all of that, Josh was ready to run against Sherrod again. He was viewed as the primary frontrunner, but he'd end up having to drop out due to his wife suffering some really severe health complications. I remember at the time being very happy that Josh dropped out, and then actually really empathetic that his wife was essentially near death, the way it sounded.
Oh my God.
The upside is she would pull through. Throughout 2019, he took care of her. She came back to health. And then in the very next year, they got divorced.
I mean, good for her.
Look, you end up spending a lot of time with someone.
I was thinking, it's like, you have that near-death experience and you really can ask yourself, like, what am I doing with my life?
Look, Josh, I talked to God. He gave me some really good advice for that 2 minutes I was dead. And
I only get one shot.
I mean, look, Jesus told me one thing, and I'm going to tell it to you now. I'm keeping the dog. So now it's 2022, and Josh doesn't have to get his ass kicked by Sherrod this time around. So Josh would state his whole reason for entering the race was due to the election being stolen from Donald Trump and the second impeachment following an attempted coup. Since the campaign announcement, he's been suspended from Twitter for a whole 12 hours for tweeting a poll asking people what kind of immigrants commit more crimes, whether it is Latin American people or Muslims.
Oh my God.
He ended up seeing a number of staffers quit due to a toxic environment created by Josh's newest partner, his campaign finance director, Rachel Wilson. Supposedly, Rachel has been forcing people to work 12-hour shifts, berating employees publicly, and Josh and Rachel have this habit of getting into shouting arguments in front of employees.
Oh.
It also seems like they started dating pretty quick after the divorce.
I was wondering.
Yeah, not great.
Ew, so the shouting's probably like a foreplay for them.
So, included in Josh's very busy year, in October, he blamed George Soros and the deep state for causing COVID, as well as funding Black Lives Matter, creating Antifa, and turning January 6th into a false flag coup. The thing with that last one is people tend to use George Soros' name as a sort of synonym for, I'm not going to say this the way that they would say it, but the Jews.
Yeah.
Imagine that being said in like a sinister whisper.
Yeah. Which is hilarious when Peter fucking Thiel is literally trying to cultivate his own Washington.
Yeah. Yeah, Peter Thiel feels like an enemy that you would fight in one of the BioShock games, and he would really fit in either one.
All he has to do is shave his head, and then he's Lex Luthor.
Yes. Actually, I think Peter Thiel is bald. I don't know, though.
Oh,
Maybe I'm just imagining him that way. So Josh Mandel, a Jew, is using Jewish dog whistles to the point that the Anti-Defamation League had to come out against him at one point.
Yeah.
So he's also made it abundantly clear that freedom of religion doesn't mean that atheists should allowed to be included in that. The way he's put it is freedom of religion doesn't mean freedom from religion.
Oh my God. No, it's just the freedom of your own Protestant choosing.
Mm-hmm. So Josh has stated that the two most important documents for governing should be the Constitution and the Bible, and that the country should feature Judeo-Christian faiths as the de facto religion for the entire nation. That's right. Josh Mandel is a full-throated Christo-fascist running for office.
No, I hate this so much.
And just as he's always been, dude has no platform for his campaign, just canned lines and grievances against marginalized communities. Josh has marriage to legally be one man, one woman. He wants to make it law that only two genders exist, and people don't get to pick which one. And if you let a minor state which gender they prefer or don't, then you should be put in jail for child abuse. Josh believes that life starts at conception, so all abortion should be illegal. But until that day, women should have to get an ultrasound before an abortion, and clinics should have to post warnings against abortions in their offices. He wants to make childhood education a free market system and ban any schools from even mentioning CRT or anything from the 1619 Project. He also would eliminate the Department of Education. He wants to finish the border wall to stop what he calls an invasion of disease and crime, not a racist sentence. He wants to get rid of any background checks or red flag laws in regards to guns, and you should be allowed to conceal carry without a permit and anywhere you want. And finally, he blames immigration for veteran homelessness. I don't fucking know how.
Okay, all right. There's so much crazy packed in here.
It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. And I think I just go through it so fast because some of these just end up blending together with a lot of these people that I feel like JD Vance would support a lot of this stuff. He just hasn't said it out loud because it's not the lane he's taking.
Right.
But Josh Mandel, he's a king piece of shit, and he has earned endorsements from General Mike Flynn, Senator Mike Lee of Utah, and Congressman Madison Cawthorn. And Una, he is polling a very close second to our last asshole. So Mike Gibbons is an investment banker that in any other year wouldn't be able to cobble enough support to be much of a threat. However, in 2018, when Josh had dropped out, Mike was able to hop on and take the mantle of the far right as possible candidate. And he went from polling nearly nothing to 32% by the day of the primary. This year, he's gained the endorsement of Senator Rand Paul, and he's been leading the polls with 20% of the vote.
Holy cow.
That's all you need this year to win the nomination. So Mike was born in Cleveland in 1962, grew up in the suburb of Parma. He would attend one of the two big Catholic sports powerhouses in Cleveland, St. Ignatius, where he played football. After that, he went to Kenyon College, and like everyone else seems to do, he went and got his law degree from Case fucking Western Reserve.
Case Western!
Fuck them! In 1989, he co-founded Brown Gibbons Lang & Company, a group that offered financial advice and invested in local companies. There he spent time as the managing partner of the Cleveland Crunch, an indoor soccer team, was the co-owner of Sheboygan Tap and Tool, and Northern Lake Properties. As of this year, his estimated wealth is somewhere between $83 and $286 million. Oh
my God.
He also drinks Diet Mountain Dew nonstop.
Oh my God. Just stop there.
Soda.
I don't need to hear any more. This man is crazier than them all.
What straight edge bullshit is Diet Mountain Dew?
What, like, is that the O'Douls of pop? Like, what are we doing here?
I tried skateboarding. I'm more of a freelance runner now, so I do Diet Mountain Dew. So the one thing that's setting Mike apart from JD and Josh is that Mike gets to claim that he is the one frontrunner who was supporting and funding Trump from day one, and has been beating that drum non-goddamn stop. However, he hasn't really talked about the 2020 election being stolen, simply saying that he doesn't know what happened, that in his heart he feels like it is stolen, but he just hasn't seen the proof.
He's just vibing.
But what has helped him is putting $12 million of his own money into the campaign, running nearly nonstop television ads, and getting Senator Rand Paul to endorse him. What hasn't helped, though, is a recent New York Times article that uncovered an episode of this company's podcast from 2013, where Mike got real racist in a eugenics sort of way. So during the episode, Mike was discussing how you do business in China and said, quote, I've often thought that when I've run into Asians, they're all, have you ever read The Bell Curve? It's a book, very controversial book. I can't remember who wrote it. I think his name was Murray, who wrote the book. And it said the smartest people in the world, as far as measurable IQ, were Ashkenazi Jews. And then right below them was basically everyone in China, India, and, throughout the Asian countries. He would then follow this up by stating that during his time in grad school at Case Western, a number of his classmates were predominantly Asian people who studied very hard, were only good at copying information, were really terrible when it came to actually thinking about things. So the thing that makes this worse is when we actually look into this book, The Bell Curve. And he's right, it was written by a guy named Murray. It's published in 1994 and written by psychologist Richard Herrnstein and political scientist Charles Murray. The crux of the book is that human intelligence is guided by both environmental factors and is inherited. The first, you could argue, because your environment does kind of dictate how much time you have to study, whether a learning environment is fostered, things like that.
Did you grow up around lead paint? I mean,
exactly. But intelligence being inherited, that's some eugenic shit right there.
Yeah.
Which is the belief that certain races are likely to either be above or below average in intelligence due to who they are.
Yeah, be careful or you might trip into phrenology very quickly.
I'm a little surprised this book didn't bring up phrenology, but I guess it's probably too hard to spell. Herrnstein and Murray would also claim that this judgment of intelligence could accurately predict someone's future income, whether they would give birth out of wedlock or fall into a life of crime.
Oh, no.
The book is noted for never undergoing peer review, fudging its support from purported scientific experts on intelligence, and being financed by the Pioneer Fund. The Southern Poverty Law Center refers to the Pioneer Fund as a white supremacist nonprofit with the goal of making eugenics a mainstream belief.
Oh my God.
And this is the fucking book that Mike references when talking about doing business in China.
This also just sounds like the kind of book you'd run into at a FedEx Kinko's right above Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yes.
It's like that level of like intellectual rigor.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I was going to say, I could totally see this being in an airport Barnes and Noble in the 90s and being like, I should probably pick that up.
Yeah.
My boss told me to read it.
Layover. Right. Yeah. Fucking racist boss.
But of course, now that the New York Times is calling out Mike, he has responded to this article by claiming that he is now being canceled by the New York Times and someone needs to call the wambulance for sad old Mikey. But what does this self-made millionaire want to do for Ohio if he wins? Well, as is tradition, nothing concrete because he doesn't have any beliefs. But of the things he's written out, he wants to push the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade and completely ban abortion in all reasons, wants to finish the border wall, make healthcare providers list the cost of all their services, and damn it, Mike, you got one. You figured out one. It would be nice to go to a hospital and get a menu.
Okay.
Move to a state-based insurance system, reduce taxes to be flatter, but not quite flat, create a tax credit for businesses that goes up for every job that a business adds. So I have no idea what happens if they say add a fuck ton of jobs, but never fill them. Like, do they pay more taxes if they lose jobs? Could you maybe do a whole round of layoffs before the bill goes through and then hire a fuck ton of people back just so you can get a big tax break?
Probably. I mean, yeah, it would just be like, and also like, I hear that and I'm just like, wait, so like if a company adds jobs, I'm not even thinking of people. It's just like, so your company's expanding and now maybe you were like road signs and now you're road signs and highway signs. I don't know. It's just like, this is weird.
Yeah.
What?
And even from like a non-scammy point of view, like say you have one bad year in business and you have to lay people off and now you have to pay more in taxes because of that. It just feels really flawed. Or even worse, like hypothetically a meteor hits one of your plants. You have less jobs now. Are you paying more taxes on top of like most of your workforce dying?
Yeah. And are you training that workforce to use firearms?
Look, if they just went to the right high school, they'd be fine. I'll tell you, Una, you went and got that Pennsylvania education, you're going to lose in a fucking gunfight. He wants to reduce business regulations. No details there. He wants to stop excessive government spending. And for this, he lists 3 things that the government should not be paying for. And they are extremely easily debunked. So the first, he wants to stop paying for the maintenance and upkeep of abandoned federal buildings. And I'm kind of half and half on this. For one, if they've been abandoned for a while, then they should be sold or they should be torn down. However, if they're planned to be used in the future, or if you can't find a buyer and you're still working to sell it off, you kind of have to pay for the upkeep of the buildings. Otherwise, a bunch of local kids are going to sneak in and get hurt, and then that's on you.
Yeah.
So like, general
go look at
makes sense.
Go look at the train depot in Detroit.
Yeah. And there are some abandoned facilities that you can't sell, like, I don't know, Area 51 or places where nuclear tests occurred.
Yes, exactly. Or a nuclear plant.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's like, I'm kind of half on half. It's like, yeah, if you could sell it, do it. But I'm also of the belief that I think they would sell it if they could.
Right. This isn't the Vatican. They're not just like hanging on to the land.
2, he was mad that the government paid for a Super Bowl ad to promote the census. So the census is kind of one of the most important and boring actions the government takes every 10 years, and it affects a wide range of things, including how many representatives a state gets, the allocation of funds for areas. So yeah, it kind of makes sense to get the word out, especially during a pandemic, and especially during a time when the Trump administration was actively hampering the process in marginalized communities to make people fill it out, to the point that tens of millions of people were left uncounted from the 2020 census.
Yeah.
And finally, this is a fun one. There was a study that got a federal grant up to $900,000 to study how cocaine affects the sexual behavior of Japanese quails. So on its face, that sounds fucking dumb. But I'm going to break it down a little bit. So let's say you're wanting to run a study on the effects of cocaine on people and whether it does end up creating risky sexual behavior. For one, how the fuck do you do that other than self-reporting, which is, highly irregular and very difficult to follow? Yes. Two, you can't give people cocaine. You can't do that. So what you need to do is you need to find, an animal that is at least comparable to human behavior. And it turns out the sexuality of Japanese quails fairly similar to humans. So in an animal test, you can give a Japanese quail talcum, or you can give them cocaine, and then you can study their behaviors after that.
This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm kind of into it.
It's a really smart workaround to not give people cocaine and to not just be like, all right, you crazy kids, go fuck whoever on cocaine.
Well, and that's the other thing is like, now I want to know more about Japanese quail sexuality. Like,
it's
like, because this is like, well, what are we like? Are we weird? Are we weird?
It's a genuinely good study because everything that we know about drugs for the most part is anecdotal. It'd be nice to have some scientific backing to these beliefs that like cocaine makes you talk too much about opening a restaurant and fuck. So and so he was again it, which I'm for it. This podcast, we're pro cocaine. Fucking give it to birds.
We are.
Birds high. So he also wants to ban critical race theory, which he calls a radical Marxist ideology, which I've never read Marx. I probably should at this point. I'd be shocked if I found any reference to critical race theory in Marx's writings.
Very much so. I mean, they definitely had a hard time including Black people in the early years of the Russian Revolution, and they really needed to.
Well, not only that, but critical race theory is specifically for America. It's specifically focused on the American legal system, which I do not think Karl Marx gave 8 fucks about.
Nope.
So Mike has stated, quote, America is not a racist country. America has not always lived up to its ideals, but that doesn't mean the ideals were wrong. And Mike thinks that schools need to teach, quote, pride in America. End sentence. Finally, he wants to enact term limits for federal offices. Fine, you get 2. Claims that Nancy Pelosi objected to certifying Trump's win in 2016, which is mostly wrong. That was actually Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who outright stated that she would not vote to certify the election in 2016. But Nancy Pelosi did certify because Barbara Lee did not have the votes. But she did note that there was worry that Russian collusion might have messed with things and needs to be looked into. But you know what? That's not enough for Mike to be the front runner for this job. And, I can't really round out the GOP folks without bringing up the drama from last week. So last week, the GOP candidates got to have their very first debate, and within minutes, shit went off the fucking rails. So Mike Gibbons decided he was going to go after Josh Mandel's lack of working in the private sector. And Josh took that personally. So after that, here is what occurred.
I can
you
tell
filed that with the Federal Elections Commission on stock in Chinese petrol.
I personally didn't buy the stock.
You made millions off it, sir.
I don't think I made millions off of anything. I'd love to have made millions off of Chinese petrol. First of all,
Shanghai Shenda,
buying a second. You may not understand this because you've never been in the private. No, you don't.
I do.
You've never been in the private sector in your.
All right, I've worked, sir.
Josh, squat.
2 tours in Iraq. Don't tell me I haven't worked. Don't tell me I haven't worked.
You don't know squat. You don't know squat.
2 tours in Iraq. Don't tell me I haven't worked.
Back off, buddy.
You back off.
Never. Sit down. Never.
Watch.
Yeah. You swear to God, dealing with the wrong dude.
No, you're dealing with the wrong guy. You watch what happened. Listen, you watch what happened. All right, guys.
So I forgot to mention that part of Josh's retort to not working in the private sector is that Mike Gibbons had made a fuck ton of money investing in Chinese companies, which I guess is a crime now. So yeah, and they start off on this fight. So for the viewers at home, what you can't see is Jane Timken and JD Vance sitting on the right, kind of awkwardly looking at each other.
Awkward.
You can see JD
so embarrassed,
trying to figure out how to put himself into this because this would be really good for him if he got into this fucking fight, but he doesn't know how. And on the left, you can see Matt Dolan just sitting in a chair, realizing he's completely wasted millions of dollars for no one even gave a shit that he's there. But yeah, Uda, what's your feeling on this brouhaha that ensued?
Oh my God, it's so classically white guy embarrassing of just like 2 white dudes outside of the club get into a scuffle, but no one does shit. They just sort of like they literally puff chests at each other, and that's it.
I used to in college. I used to call that the circle man dance, where you're just like your arms are out, you're going in circles, just like take a move, bro, take a move, and no one's gonna do it. So you're just like doing a weird waltz.
Yeah, and what was Gibbons saying? Was like, you don't know squat.
Yeah.
You don't know squat. Like,
you know, that
don't talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah. He's saying you don't know squat, and Josh Mandel's going full like Marine trainer at him, like drill sergeant mode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that happened within 5 minutes of the debate starting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like opening comments. Oh, and we're up.
Yep. So those are the Republicans currently running. What the fuck are the Democrats going to do in this situation? The answer is exactly what Texas did. They have picked a well-known 2020 presidential contender in Congressman Tim Ryan. And they have ensured that only 2 other people are running against him. They don't have the clout or the notoriety to pull high. They are essentially throwing all of their eggs in the Tim Ryan basket.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like open the floodgates, man, for the Ohio voters, if no one else. All of these candidates on the right are so creepy.
Yeah.
And you're right. They have nothing in terms of platforms. Like aside from just like hating women via like abortion control.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like if you made talking points sentient and then for some reason made 3 of them,
if you made Facebook comments sentient.
Yeah. And yeah, like I'll say this. Tim Ryan doesn't quite have the baggage that Beto does in Texas because, I mean, he doesn't have anything that you could point to and be like, oh, never vote for him. Tim has had a weird history of being one of those odd politicians who changes his mind when he gets more information. He used to be anti-choice. Now he's pro-choice. For some reason, he doesn't like the do not call registry. He's voted against that existing a couple of times. But the rest
guess what, Tim Ryan? I'm about to start calling your ass.
Yeah. But the rest of his platform's kind of pretty great in some regards. Like he wants the $15 minimum wage, wants to pass the PRO Act. He wants to pass something called the Build America, Buy America Act, where any federal infrastructure project has to include materials that are made in America. The stipulations being that you can get a waiver if the items are not available. Like you need 8 tons of concrete, but we only have 4 available. You can buy internationally for that. Or if they're of low quality, you can buy better quality. Or if it increased the budget by more than 25%, then, which is a hell of a loophole to add.
Yeah.
But the one thing I wanted to talk about with him that I was the most excited about was he wants to pass the Black Maternal Health Momnibus Act.
Oh, yeah.
Which, you know me, I don't like a pun. I hate it. So the bill has to be really good for me to like a pun. This is written by Lauren Underwood here of Illinois. It's fucking great. It's a really good bill. Essentially what the bill wants to do is to do everything it can to improve maternal health and lower infant mortality rates amongst racial and ethnic minority groups. A lot of this due to the glut of racist beliefs that exist in the medical community.
Yes.
For example, one that still persists is that Black people feel less pain.
That their skin is somehow thicker.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, which still fucking exists for some reason. So yeah, it leads to doctors mistreating and misdiagnosing a lot of people of color and leads to rates of infant mortality.
And the fact that when like doctors learn on like CPR dolls and everything, the dolls are white. And so just the fact of just like, what do bruises look like on people of different skin tones?
Yes. So alongside of pushing that, it would extend postpartum eligibility for a full 2 years for SNAP and WIC. It would address social determinants of health.
Wonderful.
It would address social determinants of health, which is the true belief that your environment has a higher effect on your own personal health than diet or exercise. So improving funding towards things like rent assistance and food eligibility and things like that. It's a really great bill. I'd love to see it passed. So yeah, and those, I would say those are the big unique things that I think he stands for that kind of separates out from everyone else who's running. So Tim Ryan does have the ability to, I think, at least speak to a lot of more on the fence voters. The thing is kind of shitty right now is looking at the polling. In the Democratic polls, he is currently at 31%. He's easily beating out his competitors who combined have about 12%. He is getting his ass kicked though by undecided, which is currently at 51%.
Yeah. This is one of those things where it's like you need like a all hands on deck, boots on the ground, Stacey Abrams approach, because the fact of the matter is like you really do have to go knocking on every door and talk to people and explain it's like really, but like what's going on in your life. These are the platforms that Tim Ryan stands for and will work towards, like the fact that you need a job, that you need better pay, that your hospital is 2 hours away, things like that. But like, oh, it's so frustrating. It's like, yeah, you have to do the work. And that part of that work is literally deprogramming people.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it too is like Ohio Democrats do a lot on their plate. Technically, their congressional districts still haven't been approved yet. Their primary is coming up May 1st, I believe. The tactic seems to be is to just wait it out and just get to the point where they have to go with the districts they've drawn because there's no time to post. They're just going to push to not postpone the primaries and just force them to use these districts that currently exist.
Wow. Yikes.
Yeah. Of which, as of right now, Democrats are not running in 2 of the 15 districts. So great job, guys. Good job. So yeah, so they have a lot on their plates right now, but as it is, Ohio Democrats are kind of getting their asses kicked and doesn't really bode well, especially when the folks who have the jobs to decide these things are currently viewing Ohio as leaning to solid red. So unless they get their asses in gear, one of these lunatics, one of these genuinely evil people might become the next senator of Ohio. So Una, marry, fuck, banish?
No! Okay, we've got who are the top three again? JD Vance,
Mike Gibbons, JD Vance, Josh Mandel. You also got Matt Dolan, Jane Timken, Mark Bakita, and Neil Patel.
Okay, well, banish JD Vance right on out of there.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I guess fuck Jane Tyndall.
Yeah.
You know, a little one night and then marry Neil Patel because I know nothing about him. And that's enough to just ride out the rest of my life.
You know, yeah, faced with those options, I too would marry Neil Patel, hoping for the best.
Yes.
I think I would fuck Mark Bakita because he has some wild fucking ideas and they might not all work, but one of them's going to be fun. I think I would banish Josh Mandel. As much as I hate JD Vance, he feels like an empty shell just filled with evil. Josh Mandel, I think, is a true fucking believer. He feels like the sort of guy who would be like a main villain in a Sinclair Lewis novel.
Oh my God. Touche. Yeah.
Yeah, I think getting him, like, just send him and Stephen Miller to whatever multiverse they come from would be fucking great. So yeah, welcome to my hell, Luna. This is watching my state burn to the ground morally.
No bueno.
Yeah, it's not great. So yeah, the primary is May 1st, I believe. So we'll be talking more about whatever the fuck that trash fire causes. But yeah, I'm hoping for the best. I mean, like I said, Tim Ryan's not the worst guy they could be running, and you know he's got that Youngstown spirit. So here's fucking hoping. So yeah, I guess we'll see you next time. This is a really sad ending. I'm used to us like having more jovial times.
Stop going to the woods.
Look, the woods need me to yell at them when no one's around. Anyway, we'll see. That's a good note. We'll see you next time on Gadfly. Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?